My boyfriend went through my belongings while I was at work and almost broke up with me over something he found. My boyfriend and I have been dating for about 6 months now. Things started out a little rocky, but feelings grew and it went from there. We have our small issues, but overall I think we have a pretty great relationship. We currently live about 45 minutes apart, so that's been a bit of a challenge in itself. Also, I don't have a car currently, so the majority of traveling falls on him, which I feel incredibly guilty about. He usually comes to my place on his 2 days off. Unfortunately, I accepted a seasonal work position which cuts into 10 hours of one of our days together, so sometimes my BF will drive me in, and come back to my house to hang out till I get off. Yesterday, things started out normally. He drove me in, gave me a kiss and left. Called him on my break and told him we were getting out early. I was pretty excited for some extra time together, but that feeling faded pretty quickly after he picked me up. Turns out he spent the few hours I was at work going through everything in my bedroom. In the car on the way home, he told me I stole something from him that can't be explained and just left it at that. I was incredibly confused. Was he talking about the shirt of his I had? He made me wait in silence in the car until we got to my house. He got out of the car and went to the back seat, where his overnight bag was. Unzipped it, and front and center was the vintage Lord of the Rings trilogy books that my father had given me many years ago. He said, "Why do you have my grandpa's books?" I was in shock, so I grabbed them and went inside. When I got to my room, I noticed everything of his was gone. The Xbox, coloring books, shirts, stuff he brought over to entertain us. He followed me inside and proceeded to break up with me. But then, he didn't really want to leave. We ended up talking it out, but I also found out, the other morning, when I was asleep in his bed, he took my phone to the bathroom and went through it. Went through texts with my ex, my FB, and God knows what else. My BF has been my rock the past few months and I love him with all of my heart, so I'm glad we were able to talk things out yesterday. But I can't shake this feeling. I feel like he violated my trust by going through my things. The books in question were in a suitcase in the back of my closet, so he was going hard. I also lost my sense of security, as we had talked about moving in together, and future plans. But now, constantly in the back of my mind, I'm going to remember this. How he was going to break up with me over books and a text from my ex from months ago, that I never even replied to. Is there any coming back from something like this, or is it a straight up deal breaker? Comment. It reminds me when a friend borrowed my camera. During that week, she had a break-in and the camera was stolen. When I asked her what else she got stolen, it turned out it was my camera, her BF's old broken laptop, and her clarinets, that were a gift from her late father, that were in a suitcase in the back of her wardrobe. They didn't take any of the TVs, the DVDs, her BF's brand new MacBook. Nope, they went to the wardrobe and took the clarinets. Not only they had to know it was there, but unless you're a musician or a pawn shop owner, most people have no idea how extremely valuable good clarinets are. Call me crazy, but to this day I'm convinced her ex BF had something to do with it. It reminds me when a friend borrowed my camera. During that week, she had a break-in and the camera was stolen. When I asked her what else she got stolen, it turned out it was my camera, her BF's old broken laptop, and her clarinets, that were a gift from her late father, that were in a suitcase in the back of her wardrobe. They didn't take any of the TVs, the DVDs, her BF's brand new MacBook. Nope, they went to the wardrobe and took the clarinets. Not only they had to know it was there, but unless you're a musician or a pawn shop owner, most people have no idea how extremely valuable good clarinets are. Call me crazy, but to this day I'm convinced her ex BF had something to do with it. Who knows if he even owns the same set of books? Did he just come up with something because he didn't object when she took the books and went into her place? That sounds like he knew they weren't his. He was just coming up with something to manipulate her so that she would promise to do better and beg for him to not break up. It is time to dump he's proven he's abusive. I would have burst out laughing at what a dumb SS this dude is. Why have you stolen my grandfather's books? Like some dramatic Princess of the Bride dialogue. Get a grip, dude. Lots of people have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's probably the only books he's ever seen. After this stint I would have zero respect left for him and his insecure. I would have burst out laughing at what a dumb SS this dude is. Why have you stolen my grandfather's books? Like some dramatic Princess of the Bride dialogue. Get a grip, dude. Lots of people have the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It's probably the only books he's ever seen. After this stint I would have zero respect left for him and his insecure. People sometimes skip over this part. Many abusers don't have a conscious plan. They act out it gets the results they want and so they do it again and again. That's in some ways worse than having a plan. You can have an epiphany and change conscious behavior much easier than feeling bad/insecure/bored, whatever the trigger emotion was, massively invading OP privacy, ridiculously accusing her stealing, breaking up with her, and staying until she sufficiently begged him back. You can't fix him. The only thing that could possibly fix him is reacting appropriately, dumping him so he gets the correct feedback rather than reinforcing this abusive behavior. I'm not victim blaming, it's hard to see from the inside. Story 2. Husband and I disagree on baby names. It's a hill I'm willing to die on. Myself and my husband have agreed from the moment we began trying for a baby that he'd choose the boy name and I'd choose the girl name. This is because he's had a boy name in mind for years prior to us even getting together. I've had a sentimental name in mind too, but for a girl, so we just agreed. I gave birth 24 days ago, and I've got to register our baby soon. He had a name in mind for a boy and I really didn't like it. It was a normal name, but a name for/associated with an old man in my opinion. I've never heard it in someone younger than 50. Think Steve for example. Not my cup of tea at all, but he loved it because that was his father's name and an agreement was an agreement. Well, I chose the girl's name. I chose the name Paisley, fake name. I've loved it ever since I was a little girl and had my first baby doll that I named Paisley. Ironically, my husband and I actually ended up meeting at a park called Paisley Park, and ended up falling in love with a house on a street named Paisley Street. It's an impotent name to me. My husband loves it too. However, I wanted a specific middle name, one of two. This name is Peach. My older sister passed away 3 months ago, and being she was 9 years older than me, at one point in my life she was like an extra parent. I adored her, we were super close and she was my very best friend. Wouldn't be where I am today without her. Unfortunately, she got hit by a drunk driver and passed away. I'm honestly devastated and missing her like crazy. It's been horrible without her, especially pregnant. When she found out I was pregnant, she was ecstatic, doting on me every chance she got. I'm devastated because I know she'd have showered my daughter in so much love. At around 15 she began calling the babies in our family her little peaches. She even called me it at one point as a kid. It stuck with her until she passed. It was sweet, and when my husband and I got pregnant, she would always say she can't wait to meet her favorite peach and spoil them rotten, etc. When we found out it was a girl, she even got her a custom-made gold bracelet engraved with Peach and some other bits, and custom-made clothes with Auntie's Peach, etc. It was sweet, even husband thought so. Prior to the death and after finding out the gender, I wanted to honor my sister and have Peach as one of my daughter's 2 middle names regardless, but especially now my sister is gone. Originally I was going to put my sister's name as a middle name for my daughter, but my sister absolutely hated her name, so I know she wouldn't have wanted that. Peach is a real name I intend to use for my daughter, the rest of the names are fake. The other middle name would be my Mills name, Hannah, fake name. So for example, Paisley Hannah Peach, followed by husband's last name. She'd never have to use it as she grew older if she didn't want to, and only her first and last name would be on school records, so again, unless she wanted to, she wouldn't have to use either middle name, but it would mean a lot to me for her to have the name on her certificate. It would also be extra sentimental when I pass down the jewelry my sister got me for her as she grew older. I don't want to change it. My sister was in the middle of making a video diary for my daughter for when she's older. Naturally she assumed she'd still be around, for my daughter to watch as she grew older. She planned to documenting birthdays, events, and milestones. I still intend to show my daughter these videos despite it being unfinished, just so she knows how much she was already loved by her auntie. Again, this paired with the jewelry makes the name more special, as she started every video with Hi Peach and ended it with Bye Peach. It's the only thing that brings me comfort when I watch it. But, my husband hates it. We can't come to an agreement. He thinks it's a stupid name and doesn't want our daughter to have it, regardless of the sentiment. I think it's a very cute name and I want our daughter to have it, especially because of its sentimental value. I didn't have a say on his name choosing. I don't think it's fair he gets a say on mine because he made a huge point about our agreement when I voiced the name he chose wasn't great at the time. He knew of my plan for a middle name from the 16-week private scab if the gender, but he was so convinced I'd forget about it he didn't mention it until a few days before the birth of our daughter when he realized how serious I was about the name. He says he can't let his daughter go through life with a name like that, and his family seem to have the same opinion and say I'm being silly. My family however think it's lovely and cute and would love for me to keep it. I don't want to argue with him over this all the time. I don't have the energy. Not with a newborn and not with still grieving my sister's death. I'm not sure if I'm trying to cling on to my sister by holding on to this name, and perhaps being stubborn due to her death, but it's a hill I'm willing to die on. But I need to know if I'm in over my head here and if I need to just let it go and compromise. Comment. I am on your side and frankly I'm not sure why your husband is hell-bent against it. It's just a middle name for Christ's sake. Absolutely selfish. He won't double-barrel your last names and thinks his mother should be honored in your daughter's name but not your recently passed sister. I would defo say the compromise is to have no middle names at all, but then you both lose. For the sake of this argument I'd stick to my guns, especially since he is being petty too. It sounds like his idea of a compromise is you agreeing with him, which I don't like. However, this whole you choose girl I choose boy was a bad idea, and what got you into this mess I'd say. Not great. You got your families involved either. Not sure how you get out of this with neither of you feeling bitter and resentful. I think overall, I'm on your side. You and your husband had a firm agreement. I think your points are valid. It's the middle name he's hung up on, right? Not the first name. And like you said, she can decide in the future if she wants to use it or just have it be a sentimental thing just for her and close family. Continue to stand firm. I'd like to think he'll give up soon. I agree mostly, but I think it shows a lack of character in the husband to go back on his word. OP should do as agreed and put Peach on her birth certificate and then tell the husband that the discussion is over. Yet, she has his last name. She has his mother's name. If you take away Peach, she'll have nothing from your side. If he doesn't want it on the birth certificate, fine. But it can be her nickname that your family uses. She can have more than one nickname. You can also get a tattoo on yourself of the name. I truly think he's being ridiculous. You're trying to compromise and he's refusing all fronts. Did anything happen between him and your sister? I honestly cannot believe he's being this stubborn like you've said. You are right and should keep the name that you chose. Even if he hates it, he should totally support you because of your sister and all the memories associated with it. That makes it beautiful. Your husband needs to suck it up along with his family, not their call. I am so sorry for your loss. Tell him this. Tell him he's not offering you the same level of respect, and that's not the behavior of a decent person, because it's true. He knows why you chose that and how very important it is to you, and by being so difficult and argumentative, it's belittling the role your sister played in your life. Names can always be changed. It's not like it's a permanent thing if she doesn't want it to be. Your daughter will have the final say when she's older. Aside from how your sister used the term, The only other connection people might make is Princess Peach from Mario. Oh no! An adorable cartoon princess. They can't think that. Agreed. I hope OP uses this situation as a real eye-opener and gets away from him or demands real change from him. Because this isn't the behavior of a man I'd want to raise my baby near. I read more comments and sure enough the husband is refusing to allow Peach even as a nickname, as if he can demand that. He insisted his mum is represented in the middle name, insisted he/his dad are represented in the last name, yet flipped out when OP dared to suggest double-barrel last names so hers is included in there too. I don't know how he can't see how unreasonable and unfair his demands are. I would bet this isn't the first time he's behaved similarly, it's just that the baby coming means he is wanting more control or feels like OP is trapped with him enough that he can be more obvious/extreme with his controlling views.